Those of you who subscribe to this channel will most likely recall that a little while ago, I made videos looking at the best nationality for each position right now, and the best club side for every position right now. I said I would do an all-time version of the international video if people wanted me to, which you said you did, so here it is. For those of you who didn't watch either of those two previous videos, I'm going to be going through each position and pondering the question of which nation has produced the most talent and depth in that position, as well as looking at managers for good measure. Unlike in the current format of this video, in which some smaller nations creeped in, this video naturally favours nations like Germany and Brazil, who have routinely produced fantastic footballers for the last 70 years or more. Here are my views on the best nationality of all time in every position. Goalkeeper Italy. I'd say at least 7 out of the 11 decisions that I had to make in this video were pretty tough ones, and goalkeeper is one of them. 3 nations stand out between the sticks, namely Italy, England and Germany. The English can boast the likes of Frank Swift, Ray Clements, Peter Shilton, Gordon Banks and David Seaman among an esteemed list of former number ones. Meanwhile, Germany can point to Oliver Kahn, Harald Schumacher, Bert Trautmann, Sepp Maier and indeed their excellent current duo of Manuel Neuer and Marc-Andre ter Stegen as fierce competition. Either would be worthy winners, but my vote goes to the Italians. Italy have had 3 all-time greats between the sticks in the forms of Gianluigi Buffon, Dino Zoff and Gianpiero Compi, in addition to the likes of Walter Zenga, Angelo Peruzzi and their Euro 86 star Enrico Albertosi, so by a narrow margin they edge this one. Right back. Brazil. I said there weren't many easy decisions, but the right back position was one of them. In fact, it was the easiest decision by a country mile. Germany have had some brilliant right-backs, such as Bertie Vogts, Philipp Lahm and Paul Janes, as have Italy in the forms of Tarcisio Bergnic, Giuseppe Bergomi and Claudio Gentil. But even with competition like that, Brazil come out streets ahead. The Seleção have been truly blessed in the right-back position over the years, having produced what you could claim are the 3 greatest right-backs of all time. Brazil are the nation which brought the attacking fullback position to global prominence at the 1958 World Cup, and they did so through the exploits of Djalma Santos at right back and Nilton Santos at left back. Djalma Santos, Cafu and Carlos Alberto Torres are Brazil's 3 greatest right backs, and the reason why this was such an easy call. But the likes of Jorginho, and more recently of course Dani Alves, both among the outstanding fullbacks of their generations, helped cement Brazil's status. Centre back. Italy. When I was drafting up this video, I thought Italy were the overwhelmingly obvious choice at centre-back, and as you can see, they do get the nod here. But it was a much tighter call than I had anticipated once I started to jot down every nation's candidates. England, for example, have had the likes of Neil Franklin, Bobby Moore and Jack Charlton, in addition to the likes of Tony Adams, Sol Campbell, John Terry and Rio Ferdinand, all in the last 20 years alone. Meanwhile, Germany have given the world inspired defensive exploits of Jürgen Koller, Karl-Heinz Forster, and of course Franz Beckenbauer, to name but 3 examples. Very honourable mentions indeed, but I still edge towards Italy, who have long set the bar in defensive masterclasses. Franco Baresi is the finest centre-back Italian football has produced, meanwhile the likes of Gaetano Scirea, Armando Pichi, Fabio Cannavaro, Alessandro Nesta and Alessandro Costacurta are all-time greats, as is Paolo Maldini, should one put him in the centre-back bracket rather than left-back. That is a startling array of defensive genius, and even the excellent output of England, Germany and a couple of other nations cannot knock Italy off their perch at centre-back. Left-back. Italy. It's a pretty strong showing from Italy in the early parts of this video, as they claimed 3 of the first 4 positions. Left back was the toughest call in terms of the 3 defensive positions, with Italy and Brazil the leading candidates, whilst Germany and England are owed honourable mentions. In Nilton Santos, Brazil have the greatest out-and-out left back of all time, and he's joined by the likes of Roberto Carlos and Leo Jr., as well as the Seleção's fine array of left back talent right now. It's splitting hairs, but Italy have 2 all-time greats at left-back of their own, in addition to arguably even greater depth. Paolo Maldini and Giacinto Facchetti are 2 of the 3 greatest left-backs to have ever lived, as far as I'm concerned, but Italy can bolster their argument through names like Gianluca Zambrotta, Antonio Cabrini and Renzo De Vecchi. Defensive midfield. The Netherlands. I'm going to have 3 central midfield positions, defensive, central and attacking midfield, and getting us started in the deepest of the 3 positions is the Netherlands. Again, Brazil and Germany are right up there, as they are in almost every position, but for a nation of just 17 million people, I think the Netherlands deserve this one. The Netherlands have had 5 world-class defensive midfielders, along with a whole raft of very good ones. Over the years, the Orange have been able to call upon the many talents of Johan Neeskens, Frank Rijkaard, Wim van Hanegem, Wim Janssen, and Edgar Davids, along with the likes of Philip Cocu, Mark van Bommel, and current star Frenkie de Jong. There's some stiff competition, but the Dutch take this one for me. Central midfield. Brazil. During the 21st century, Spain have ruled the roost in central midfield, and they deserve an honourable mention here, as do the likes of France and Germany once again. It can be difficult to differentiate specific central midfielders from holding players and more advanced playmakers, since most midfield players will move around a little during their careers, but in terms of those who I consider to be true central midfielders, Brazil just about edge it. From Falcao and Gerson to Zito and Clodoaldo, Brazil have been blessed with some majestic central midfielders over the years, and I'm not counting attacking midfielders like Socrates and Zico in this. As brilliant as Falcao was, Brazil's greatest central midfielder of all time has to be Djalma. Often played as an attacking midfielder, but primarily a central midfielder, given Pele's injury in 1962, one could make a compelling case for Djalma being Brazil's most important player across those two tournaments in 1958 and 1962. An effortlessly brilliant footballer who could do it all, no discussion regarding the greatest central midfielders of all time is complete without a mention of Djalma, and in a tight call, he gives Brazil the edge in central midfield. Attacking midfield. Argentina. More great players have played in attacking midfield than have played in any other position, as far as I'm concerned. But despite this being the most talent-laden position on the pitch, Argentina are the overwhelmingly obvious choice. One can debate whether I should include Lionel Messi as a right winger, attacking midfielder, or centre forward for the purposes of this video, but I put him in the attacking midfield bracket, and for that reason, I think it would be fair to say Argentina have produced the 3 greatest attacking midfielders of all time. Alfredo Di Stefano, Diego Armando Maradona, and Lionel Messi are 3 of the 5 greatest footballers of all time, if not 3 of the 4 greatest, and they make this a landslide in favour of Argentina. Elsewhere, France can boast the likes of Michel Platini, Zinedine Zidane, Alan Girassi, Paul Pogba, Yuri Djurkaev, and Raymond Kopa. Brazil have had geniuses like Socrates, Rivellino, Ronaldinho, Kaká, and Zico. England have been blessed with the many talents of Bobby Charlton, Rach Carter, Paul Gascoigne, Glenn Hoddle, Frank Lampard, Steven Gerrard, and Paul Scholes, and Germany could point to such greats as Bernd Schuster, Gunter Netzer, Helmut Haller, Felix Magath, and most famously Fritz Walter. Some tremendous names, but ultimately Argentina's big 3, along with a handful of greats like Ricardo Bocchini and Juan Roman Riquelme, make them my unquestionable first choice. Right wing. Brazil. The home nations of England and Scotland could both claim decent stakes on the right flank, with Scotland having had some incredible talent such as Jimmy Johnston, Alex Jackson, Peter Lorimer and Gordon Strachan on the right wing. Meanwhile, England can better even that through the exploits of Alan Ball, Steve McManaman, David Beckham, Tom Finney, and perhaps the greatest right winger of all time in the form of Stanley Matthews. Ultimately though, no nation has produced more talent on the right wing than Brazil, who have produced an absurd number of world-class wide players. On the right flank alone, Brazil have had Jolinho, Edu, Dorval, Jair, and most famously, both Jairzinho and the great Garrincha. That's an incredible raft of talent, so Brazil gets my vote on the right, with honourable mentions to England, Scotland, Germany, and France. Left wing. Eritrea. Just kidding, it would be a curveball though, wouldn't it? Left wing. The Netherlands. Left wing is the most difficult decision on the entire pitch, with stiff competition between the Netherlands, Germany, Italy, England and Brazil, although sadly not Eritrea. Between the 5 of them, it came down to a toss-up between the Netherlands and Brazil for me, and there was very little in it. Given that, as I have already stated, the Netherlands is a nation of just 17 million people, and also given that Brazil are already pretty dominant, I've given it to the Netherlands. The Orange have had a plethora of world-class left wingers over the years, from Robert Rensenbrink and Piet Keizer to Koen Mien, Mark Overmars, and even Clarence Seedorf, who spent much of his time with the national team in particular, playing out wide on the left. Keizer and Rensenbrink in particular are among the finest left wingers of their generation and beyond, and all were outstanding talents, so the Dutch are worthy winners in a closely fought contest on the left flank. Centre forward. Brazil. There are more honourable mentions at centre forward than there are in any other position, but I was never in too much doubt as to which nation would get the nod. England have had the likes of Dixie Dean, Tommy Lawton, Jimmy Greaves, Gary Lineker, Alan Shearer and Wayne Rooney. Argentina can point to Gabriel Batistuta, Mario Kempes, Angel Labruna, Rene Pontini, Hernan Crespo, Bernabe Ferreira and Sergio Aguero. From Hungary, there has been Sandor Kocsis, Georgi Sorosi, Gyula Selinger, Ferenc Dijk, Imre Schlosser and Ferenc Puskás. Italy have had some majestic frontmen like Christian Vieri, Gigi Riva, Silvio Piola, Giuseppe Meazza and Paolo Rossi, and lastly, Germany has been home to Miroslav Klose, Yui Seeler, Max Morlock, Ottmar Walter, Jürgen Klinsmann, Edmund Konan and the great Gerd Müller. All are worthy honourable mentions, but when it comes to forwards, the Brazilians just do it a little bit better. Brazil has been a breeding ground for world-class centre forwards since the sport first arrived in the continent of South America. From Mario de Castro and Arthur Friedenreich in the 1920s to Roberto Firmino and Gabriel Jesus now, Brazil have never been short of strike power. The nation's finest centre forward, and the world's finest, is of course Pelé, but Brazil has also given the world Ronaldo, Luiz Nazario de Lima, Romario, Leonidas, Ademir, Jose Altafini and Vava. The three of Pelé, Romario and Ronaldo alone make Brazil surefire inclusions at centre forward, and they don't have a bad backup gang either. Manager. Italy. Picking the nation that has produced the best managers was as tough as any position, with really strong candidates from the likes of the Netherlands, Scotland and Argentina to name but a few. For sheer strength in depth though, my vote goes to Italy. Great Italian football managers over the years include the likes of Arrigo Sacchi, Vittorio Pozzo, Marcello Lippi, Giovanni Trapattoni, Carlo Ancelotti, Fabio Capello, Massimiliano Allegri, Nerio Rocco and Antonio Conte. Italian football managers have won more European Cup and Champions League titles than managers from any other nation, and the second most World Cups have managers from any nation, trailing only Brazil. So that is it for today's video. If we account for the manager, Brazil and Italy are tied with 4 inclusions. Meanwhile, Brazil win the battle of the players, featuring in the right back, central midfield, right wing and centre forward positions. Surprisingly, despite being one of the 2 most successful national teams on earth, Germany didn't make a single appearance, although they were honourable mentions in almost every position. Thank you all for watching, I hope you have a quite spectacular day. Feel free to give us a like if you enjoyed the video, share your thoughts down in the comments and subscribe to HITC Sevens.